This is a guy that does some things really well. He's got a big win under his belt, goes up to South Bend and clips Notre Dame this past season. When you look at Ridder as a prospect, what does he do better maybe than the other guys in this class?
Well, I think you see his athleticism right there, his overall speed. I mean, it makes him a legitimate candidate to put in an offense where he can be part of that rushing attack, and defenses are going to have to respect him as a potential rusher. We saw that Cincinnati over the past 2 years in particular. It still doesn't necessarily answer the questions of, not that he doesn't have the strong arm. He can make all the throws, but he doesn't have that consistent accuracy that you're looking for. You kind of see that from time to time. I think he sometimes struggles with touch, but he has all the other intangibles. The only thing I say to Ryan is, and I said this as we're walking up, when you run a 4.49 and you've got his size and athleticism, you almost go, that's a good thing, but it's kind of not, because if things don't work out at quarterback, you know what they start saying? Hey, why don't you play wide receiver for us? I mean, you could look at Terrell Pryor as an example of that. Other quarterbacks who have tested really fast or been able to run fast and showcase athletic ability, and as soon as you hit adversity, instead of saying, let's keep working on this quarterback position, they'll go, maybe you should play wide receiver, try that out for a little bit.
Remember Matt Jones from Arkansas? Ran a 4.3 something back in 05, I think it was, which 4.3s weren't quite that common then. But right, we talked about Desmond Ridder earlier today on the podcast. I talked to him yesterday on this set, and I told Brady and Pete this. Everyone here, all 323 kids, have a ton of confidence. He has more confidence than any of them, and he plays with an edge. And, again, this is just one more thing that you can go back to and say, okay, Brady, you talked about the arm strength and the accuracy are obviously big issues, but you can try to talk yourself into a quarterback when you're a team that needs one desperately. And I want to see how this shakes out. For me, he should be a third-round pick, I feel like. I think that's about where he should go. I wouldn't take him in round one, but again, he'll interview great. He's played 50-plus games. He's been a winner. He went to Notre Dame and won. But Brady mentioned it. He made a lot of throws and took a lot of hits in that game. But the first series was some hard-to-watch football from a big-time quarterback perspective, and those are the questions you have whether you run a 4.9 or a 4.89.
Danny, I know you're talking us off our 40 ledge here, so I'm not going to put that bait out in front of you. But when you look at Ridder, what does he hang his hat on in terms of that athleticism and maybe the things that he can bring to a future franchise?
Oh, I think he hangs his hat on the 44-7 record as a starter. His coach Luke Fickell raves about his leadership, the intangibles that are there. And see, if I was a team, I would rather take Desmond Ridder in the third round than take some of these guys, even a Kenny Pickett, a Sam Howell, a Malik Willis, a Matt Corral who's not throwing because he's hurt, obviously. I would rather try to take a flyer on a Desmond Ridder and bet on the upside and not spend as much draft capital and work somewhere else, because I just think like there's the upside factor there. I also think, too, playing at Cincinnati, where it was really a defensive-minded team, they didn't ask him to do a whole lot there, and he didn't have some of the weapons that some of these other quarterbacks had around him. Although we've seen his wide receiver lay down an incredible 40 time, it wasn't like he had what Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigma, the guys that you're throwing to at Ohio State. So a little bit limited in the weapons he's working with, but I think this is one that you could take in the third round and see like, man, I got a great value. Let's take a flyer and see if we can develop into something more.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.